Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 30 based on novel. So let's start. After Class 0 was established in East Sea Academy, what Tang San found the most shocking was just how differently the academy treated them when compared with their treatment of the normal students. The classroom changed to a much more open one while their dorm rooms had also been upgraded. They no longer shared a room with 4 people, but rather, they each had their own room now that was situated beside one another. Moreover, their rooms were the same as the ones given to ordinary teachers. In other words, they were enjoying the treatment a teacher would receive. Zhong Yangzi signed the contract without the slightest hesitation when he heard that Wang Jinsi had signed it. Including the teacher in charge, Class 0 comprised of 6 people in total. Wu Zhongkong was also given new living quarters alongside the dorms of his students. His previous dorm had now been replaced with a suite. The academy gave them 1 day to get themselves organized before Class 0 would officially begin classes the following day. Naturally, even if classes were to begin now, not all of them would be able to attend. After all, 3 of them had suffered serious fractures and could only attend theory classes for now. Class 0's classroom seemed a bit spacious and empty. Although it wasn't any different than the ordinary classrooms, it seemed very large with only 5 students in it. Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi sat on one side while Tang San's trio sat on the other. The 5 of them were like 2 separate rivers. Zhong Yangzi rested his legs on top of a chair, his expression dark. Wang Jinsi was his usual silent self, but his eyes would occasionally flit towards Tang San. Wu Zhongkong entered the classroom with a stern expression and walked to the center. He swept his gaze across the 5 students. From henceforth, your curriculum will undergo a change. His words drew the attention of the 5 students. Even if it was Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi, they couldn't help but admire the icily arrogant Prince Charming's strength. After all, they too had been mesmerized by the battle between Wu Zhongkong and Guang Biao. Wu Zhongkong said, "Due to the current conditions of your bodies, we will put off cultivation for a while. Instead, we will begin with theory classes. Today we'll start with mechas." Mecha? When they heard this word, all 5 students looked at each other in confusion. Zhong Yangzi's expression brightened a bit as he couldn't help but ask, "Teacher Wu, aren't mechas a topic for the advanced division? We're still in the 1st grade. Isn't this just too early?" Typically, the intermediate division would only cover foundational knowledge, and they wouldn't cover mechas until they entered the advanced division. After graduating from the advanced division, they would enter an advanced academy based on their area of study, walking 1 step at a time towards their goal. Anyone who could graduate from an advanced academy would definitely be an elite of society. They had just started their first of 6 years in the intermediate division, yet they were already learning about mechas? Wasn't this just jumping ahead of themselves? Wu Zhongkong responded naturally, "The topics in this mecha class will not be taught in detail, so the course load won't be too much. Among you, who wants to become a mecha master in the future?" The 5 of them went silent in unison. Mecha masters were already synonymous with powerful experts in the views of the vast majority. Wu Zhongkong continued, "With this being the case, you all better pay attention in class." He shot a glance at Zhong Yangzi as he finished speaking, causing him to tremble from head to toe. Zhong Yangzi no longer dared to utter a single doubtful word. Modern-day mechas have undergone 10,000 years of development while soul devices have went through several thousand more years of development, becoming more and more widespread. Technology has always been researched for one main reason: war. Soul devices are no exception. It was only after soul devices filled the battlefield that they began to be used by civilians. The soul guide masters of the time never would have imagined that soul-guided devices, or soul devices for short, could be used to empower a soul master by such a large margin. It was only after they discovered this that they began researching mechas. Soul masters have been the most essential profession within the last several tens of thousands of years. Soul masters were not only rare, but the majority of them were also weak. But with the advent of soul devices, this paradigm had shifted. Low-rank soul masters could now become much more powerful by relying on their soul power and soul devices. Afterward, soul mechas began to appear, allowing soul masters to become even stronger. Soul mechas are operated by using soul power from soul power batteries, thus allowing its user to display strength far surpassing their own. The first soul mechas were developed in a larger form, the factor being that the larger they were, the larger the soul power battery they could install as well as the number of weapons it could be equipped with. As technology progressed, mechas became operable by ordinary people with sufficiently strong bodies. From then on, soul mechas became the main weapon of the modern army. In the history of mecha development, there have been periods where the form was small, medium, and large, and now they have taken the form you are all familiar with. This is the basic outline of mecha development. This was a process of trial and error and its resulting improvements. It involved the perfection of soul circuits, various innovations, and the advancement of technology by leaps and bounds. Mechas have only grown increasingly more important in wars ever since their creation. Tang Wulin earnestly listened as this was his first proper lesson on mechas. If he wanted to become a mecha master, this was crucial knowledge to him. But these are not the mechas I want to talk to you about. Wu Zhongkong paused right there, letting astonishment wash over the 5 students. Not these mechas? Wu Zhongkong indifferently said, didn't you all think that as technology developed, ordinary people could control soul devices better and better? Then let me tell you, that's only what ordinary people think. In the tens of thousands of years of history the Dolor continent has witnessed, one fact has never changed: soul masters are the most powerful existence. With the aid of soul devices, an ordinary person might be able to match up to a soul grandmaster, and with a mecha, they could even possibly contend with a 5-ring soul king. Mechas truly do offer tremendous power to its user, but even so, it cannot give an ordinary person the fighting power of an 8-ring soul Dolor or a 9-ring title Dolor. At the very least, it is impossible at this point in time. Xie said, then what if they use a super weapon? There are some super weapons that ordinary people can use. Wu Zhongkong nodded. What you speak of is a possibility. But let me ask you in return, what if both sides possess super weapons then? Who will have more power? Let me tell you first though, currently, the strongest super weapon cannot defeat the strongest person. Wu Zhongkong spoke without the slightest hesitation, causing the 5 students to sit down subconsciously in shock. After a short pause, Wu Zhongkong continued speaking. With humanity's trend in weapon technology advancement, perhaps such a weapon will appear in the future. But at the moment, there exists no such weapon. Teacher Wu, this powerful person you spoke of, are they a mecha master or a soul master? Tang Wulin asked. Wu Zhongkong said, to be exact, they are both. The mechas you commonly see range from 5 to 8 meters in height and have some peculiar differences depending on what type of mecha they are. These are the modern medium-sized mechas I spoke of. From their research, Soul Guide Masters came to the conclusion that a combination of bulk and flexibility along with a balance of offensive and defensive capabilities were the most suitable for the army. But these are just the standardized mechas for the army. Or it might be better to say, these are mechas for ordinary people. White and yellow mechas are of the same category, but that isn't your goal. With your talents, you absolutely cannot develop in that direction. Instead, you must develop towards battle armor. Battle armor? This was the first time the 5 of them heard these words. Wu Zhongkong continued dully, the truly powerful would not allow their body to become even larger. The reason mechas exist is amplification of power, not to become larger. Purple mechas and onwards are all small in size, to the point where they are almost like armor. Due to this, they are called battle armor. 1. Only soul masters with battle armor can truly be called powerful experts. They are experts who can perfectly combine their martial soul and mecha together, resulting in formidable combat power. May have been retconned later to have mechas and battle armor be 2 separate paths. We'll fix accordingly when I actually translate that stuff. I just skim the raws. Tongue sticking out. Battle armor. This new idea completely captured the attentions of these youngsters. After all, armor-like mechas were considered the peak. As everyone knows, apart from mecha masters who operate the mechas, there are also mecha craftsmen who are absolutely crucial to the mechas themselves. There are 3 kinds of mecha craftsmen: mecha designers, mecha makers, and mecha mechanics. The main purpose of today's lecture on mechas is to impart the knowledge necessary for you all to make an informed decision on your future secondary occupation. I suggest that all of you choose one occupation from these three as your secondary occupation, as it will help you in your path to becoming stronger. Gu asked in astonishment, Teacher Wu, shouldn't we concentrate all of our energy on cultivating? At most we should just learn how to operate a mecha, right? Why do we need to take on a second job? Wu Zhongkong said, if you want a powerful battle armor, then you must have one that is suitable for you. Thus, powerful battle armor masters will definitely be extremely familiar with their battle armors. They will either design, make, or fix it themselves. Only in this way can you gradually familiarize yourself with every detail of the armor. If you don't take on a second job, you will never be able to have the most fitting battle armor made for yourselves and never ascend to a god altar. With the establishment of Class 0, we only have one goal for you, that is to push you towards a god altar. This is a long and arduous process that you may have to dedicate your entire lives to. What I first want to do is minimize any time you may waste through inappropriate methods and then elucidate the path you must walk. As for what occupation you choose, don't worry about it. You all still have plenty of time to think over your choices. But at the latest, you must pick one by the 3rd grade. Even with your talents, your path will be similar to an ordinary person's, and the sooner you begin, the better. This is the reason why within 3 years, you must give me an answer. Naturally, the 3 occupations I have given you are only the ones that I think are the best. They aren't your only choices, and there are still some occupations related to mechas that are open to you. In fact, there is even someone among you who has chosen already. As he spoke, his gaze landed on Tang Wulin. A secondary occupation? Tang Wulin immediately realized that Teacher Wu was speaking about his work as a blacksmith. Wulin had chosen to be a blacksmith at an exceptionally young age. I believe he is most likely extremely gifted in this field. Blacksmithing is one of the jobs I also want you all to consider. That is because from a purple battle armor onward, the creation process becomes inseparable from forging. Regardless of what job you choose, you will not be lacking in cultivation resources if you can reach 5 stars or more. Tang Wulin was the calmest one among them, as he had already picked a job and wouldn't be reconsidering it either. He was already a 3-star Grandmaster blacksmith. Not only was he valued by the Blacksmiths Association, but he was also already deep into his forging studies. The more he forged, the more he understood the profundity of the craft. His father had taught him when he was young that regardless of what he chose to do, he had to focus on it wholeheartedly without the slightest bit of wavering. Tang Wulin wasn't interested in mecha design, making, or maintenance at all, since he had already embarked on the path of a blacksmith and couldn't bear to change his profession. The remaining 4 students were silent. Clearly, choosing a secondary occupation was no simple matter. They were still young and weren't completely sure what they liked, but fortunately, they still had 2 more years to think it over. That was plenty of time to come to a decision. Wu Zhongkong dully said, "Good then. That ends today's lesson on mechas. There are only 2 main points for you to remember. First, truly powerful mechas are called battle armors, and all mechas of the purple grade and above are battle armors. Second, you must choose a mecha-related occupation by the 3rd grade. This was extremely easy for them to remember. After all, the information they learned in this class was both simple and interesting to them. Tang Wulin said, "Teacher Wu, when can we see an actual battle armor?" He had been listening earnestly the whole time and was now finally able to voice his thoughts. Wu Zhongkong gave him a look and said, "I'll let you see a battle armor after you finish the first part of your combat training. Whoever finishes first will have the opportunity to see it first. As of now, none of you have the qualifications to see." Combat training? Combat training between soul masters? Without giving a chance for them to ask another question, Wu Zhongkong continued, "From now on, your curriculum will place an emphasis on combat practice. Right here." Tang Wulin, move the desks to the side and clear a space in the center. Right here? But isn't the power of soul masters destructive? A sense of doubt arose within the hearts of the 5 students, but even so, they followed Wu Zhongkong's instructions. "Tang Wulin, come over here." Wu Zhongkong nodded toward Tang Wulin. Yes. Tang Wulin quickly walked over. How do you feel about your battle yesterday? Wu Zhongkong coldly asked. Tang Wulin considered it for a moment before speaking. I was too short-sighted. We're all students after all, so we shouldn't harm each other. We should have been careful to not overdo it. Wu Zhongkong waved his hand in dismissal. I'm not asking you about those things. I'm asking about how you felt during the battle. How did you feel your team's battle went? Tang Wulin said, I'm a bit confused about what happened as it was the first time we saw the strength of our opponents. Our response to their attacks was too disordered and lacking in coordination. As for the other team, they had better coordination but didn't seem to reach a level of tacit understanding yet either. Wu Zhongkong icily corrected, disordered? How was that disordered? It was simply a total mess. The 5 of them were stunned by these words. They were geniuses of the first grade and the academy had established a special class for them specifically. Apart from Tang Wulin, they were all extremely confident in their own abilities. Where had the word disordered even come from? Wu Zhongkong gazed into Tang Wulin's large eyes. To be honest, I am very disappointed. I trained you for 3 months and you had excellent coordination skills. Yet, when the battle actually started, you gave up your advantages. Xie Xie's broken arms are simply a result of this. Xie Xie's expression stiffened. He never expected Teacher Wu would assess him in this way. Wu Zhongkong turned to look at Xie Xie. Did you actually believe that you were powerful now that you've broken through to become a Soul Grandmaster? And that you could now just blindly charge at your opponents with your strength? Do you even remember the concept of a team? He turned back to Tang Wulin right after. And you? I let you be the team captain because of your calm temperament, yet you actually failed to stop him or coordinate with the team. That was your responsibility. Your use of power was also a mess. You didn't truly use your martial soul at all and just charged through with brute force. What were you thinking? Faced with Wu Zhongkong's criticism, Tang Wulin was completely speechless. How could he explain to Wu Zhongkong about his sudden increase in strength and how his blue-silver grass mutated due to the Golden Dragon King soul, leading to the current situation where he wasn't even completely sure of his current abilities? Wu Zhongkong finally turned to Ji Yu. I told you to act as the team's glue, yet with your battle tendencies, you created even more issues in coordinating with the team. Tendencies? Tang Wulin couldn't understand what Wu Zhongkong meant with this word at all. On the other hand, Xie Xie displayed a queer expression. Now that he thought about it, it really was as Wu Zhongkong said. From beginning to end, Ji Yu had been at Tang Wulin's side. When she exploded, it had also been due to Tang Wulin receiving an injury. But with regard to Xie Xie, she didn't seem to care at all, even though she should have been supporting him with her long-ranged attacking abilities. Wu Zhongkong's few words of criticism were enough to burst a blood vessel. Then, Wu Zhongkong's gaze swept over to Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinci. The problem with your team is obvious too. Wei Xiaofeng has the same fault as Xie Xie. In fact, his weakness is even more severe. Zhong Yangzi, you didn't immediately engage in battle at the beginning due to your arrogance, but arrogance will only send you to your death. Among the 3 of you, Wang Jinci did relatively well. Although he was suppressed by Tang Wulin, he had been cautious and focused on fulfilling his role from beginning to end. Teacher Wu was actually praising Wang Jinci. But. Sure enough, there was a but. Wu Zhongkong coldly continued, all 5 of you have a problem in common, and this will be settled through your combat training. The problem is that you are all severely lacking in combat experience and techniques. What I'm talking about isn't your experience with using your martial soul and soul skills, as you are all somewhat decent at that, but still not excellent, of course. No, what I am speaking about are your basic combat techniques when you aren't using your martial soul. Basic combat techniques? Soul Masters need something like that? Don't Soul Masters only need to use their soul skills to attack their opponents? Apart from Tang Wulin, who was deep in thought, a look of doubt appeared on the faces of the other 4 students. Do you actually think there is no meaning to having basic combat techniques? Gu said, I understand, but Teacher Wu, my ability is based solely on controlling the elements. As long as I can control them properly in battle, I will be able to defeat any opponent. What use do I have for basic combat techniques then? Shouldn't I focus on increasing my soul power and spiritual power? Wu Zhongkong nodded. If that is what you really think, then let's have a little test. Gu, you and Tang Wulin will attack me. I won't use any soul skill, and I will suppress my soul power down to your level, about rank 13. Let's see if you can still defeat me. You may use your martial souls. As Wu Zhongkong was speaking, he turned around to walk over to the teacher's platform and picked up a teacher's pointer before returning to the center. Gu had already bravely stepped forward to stand at Tang Wulin's side. He's not using any soul skills? So he's not using his martial soul at all? Isn't he underestimating us too much? Tang Wulin and Gu exchanged a glance before retreating a few steps back, opening up some space between them and Wu Zhongkong. They released their martial souls in preparation to attack Wu Zhongkong. Come now. Wu Zhongkong beckoned them over as he brandished his pointing stick freely. Tang Wulin took the initiative to charge forward. With his immense strength, he naturally held the advantage in a direct confrontation. As he charged forward, countless strands of blue-silver grass emerged, flocking toward Wu Zhongkong on all sides. Right behind him was Gu, who controlled her elements with a deft wave of her hands. Suddenly, she released 7 to 8 swift wind blades. They sliced toward Wu Zhongkong from tricky positions that cut off all avenues of escape. Suppressing his soul power also greatly limited his own speed, and he was now facing Tang Wulin and Gu, both of whom could be considered assault control system soul master hybrids. If they couldn't grasp victory immediately in the beginning, then they would just have to control Wu Zhongkong's movements to increase their chances of victory at a later time. After cultivating together these past few months, they were able to understand the other, even without verbal communication. This led to a coordination that seemed almost telepathic. Wu Zhongkong stood in the center motionlessly with only his pointer raised. In his hand, that pointer was no different from the sharpest of swords. They all saw that when the pointer in Wu Zhongkong's hand trembled, the motion was followed by a phantom image emerging behind it. The wind blades reached Wu Zhongkong first, but something strange happened next. Right as they entered the range of his pointer stick, the wind blades were immediately dispersed into a cool breeze. Trailing behind the wind blades were Tang Wulin's vines. The blue-silver grass twisted to surround Wu Zhongkong, but the moment they came too close, they were cut apart just like the wind blades. It was impossible to get within a 1-meter range of Wu Zhongkong. Tang Wulin and Gu revealed troubled expressions. Gu felt Wu Zhongkong's pointer stab the core of her wind blades each time, sowing disorder among the gathered wind elements, thus causing the wind blades to dissipate. Tang Wulin had found what happened even stranger. His blue-silver grass was like a snake the moment he released it, yet Wu Zhongkong's pointer was able to accurately stab the 7th-inch point of the snake, effectively stopping the flow of his soul power to that strand. As a result, the blue-silver grass couldn't resist Wu Zhongkong's attacks at all as its power was now restricted. Just what was this? Gu raised her hand, firing off a few fireballs. The teacher's pointer is made of wood. Maybe using fire would be more effective. By then, Tang Wulin had already arrived in front of Wu Zhongkong. His right hand reached out to grab at Wu Zhongkong's chest while golden scales began to cover his right arm. After a few experiments, Tang Wulin had gained some understanding of his Golden Dragon King power. Those golden scales weren't just for decoration. Aside from increasing his power, it also increased his defense and thus raised his overall strength by quite a bit. It was because of those scales that he decided to directly launch an attack at Wu Zhongkong. Bang! Wu Zhongkong's pointer struck sharply at Tang Wulin's sparkling, golden-scaled wrist. Tang Wulin's arm slightly swayed after being struck by the pointer, but its momentum was unchanged, and it was still heading straight for Wu Zhongkong's chest. Wu Zhongkong was unaffected by the approaching scaled arm as he stood there with the same icy-cold expression. He shifted backwards by a step. Despite it seeming to be a simple step back, It opened up some distance between him and Tang Wulin as well as put him out of the path of the fireballs. What shocked the students even more was that even as he was retreating, Wu Zhongkong hadn't forgotten to thrust a few times at the fireballs with his pointer, causing their power to dissipate and preventing the classroom from acquiring damages. This could only be described as brilliant. His pointer shot out once more, stabbing Tang Wulin's elbow. His arm felt a weird sensation spreading throughout, but the power of the pointer was not enough to pierce through his scales. It had been blocked automatically. A trace of astonishment finally appeared in Wu Zhongkong's eyes, but once again, he simply took a step out of the way of Tang Wulin's right hand. Bang! A scorching pain burst from Tang Wulin's neck and seeped all the way down to the marrow of his bones. He stumbled to the side in retreat. His right arm might have scales protecting it, but his neck did not. The pointer in Wu Zhongkong's hand struck once again, but this time, it was aimed at Tang Wulin's waist. If it made contact, Tang Wulin definitely wouldn't be in fighting condition afterward. But right at that moment, Wu Zhongkong's expression changed. The reason was simple. 7 to 8 fireballs were shooting toward the surrounding classroom equipment in a scattered manner. Gu's elegant face revealed a sinister smile. "Aren't you afraid of the classroom taking damage? Then you'll have to stop if I attack it." As expected, Wu Zhongkong had no choice but to abandon his pursuit of Tang Wulin. Yet, in the next moment, the students of Class 0 finally understood the meaning of true strength. Wu Zhongkong's figure suddenly flickered. In an instant, his countless phantoms appeared throughout the classroom, obliterating all of the fireballs. He was so quick that the students couldn't even see him move clearly. It was all just a blur to them. The teacher's pointer struck Gu's waist, giving rise to a sharp pain that made her collapse. Before Tang Wulin could even react, he felt a numbness overcome his body, forcing him to fall flat on his butt like Gu. This? So powerful. Silence now enveloped the classroom. Wu Zhongkong walked over to face Tang Wulin once more. With a pensive expression, he watched the scales on Tang Wulin's right arm gradually disappear. Despite being unable to use his martial soul at a rank similar to theirs, he had still condensed his suppressed soul power. Yet, even with that, he hadn't been able to pierce through the defenses of Tang Wulin's joints. He had only caused Tang Wulin's arm to bend for a split second, that was all. The defensive power of those scales were extraordinarily formidable when faced with attacks of the same rank. Moreover, Tang Wulin hadn't unleashed the might of his golden dragon claw yet. That would only boost his power even further. "Teacher, were you actually only using basic techniques just now?" Xie asked Wu Zhongkong with wide eyes. Wu Zhongkong nodded. "Do you still think basic techniques are useless?" "Basic techniques are fundamental. Although martial souls and soul skills can make a soul master powerful, the way they are used will determine just how powerful one will be. This is how basic techniques should be used. It's the same even when using battle armor or an ordinary mecha. Starting today, we will begin a lengthy period of combat technique training. Do not slack off, this is a crucial subject for you all." Tang Wulin was quite miserable. As one of the two who received no injuries as well as being a male, he had been used as a living teaching example by Wu Zhongkong. With him as the opponent, Wu Zhongkong continuously used him to demonstrate combat techniques and important topics to the other students. Tang Wulin was knocked down time and time again by the teacher's pointing stick. He felt that this was Teacher Wu's revenge for him being late to the match. But even so, this type of training was effective as it was clear just how quickly Tang Wulin was improving. This was the so-called pain and joy. 1. News of Class 0's establishment quickly spread throughout the academy, turning its 5 students into celebrities in an instant. Naturally, they couldn't reveal what they were doing in class, so the curiosity of others died down after a few days and the academy returned to its usual tranquility. As their only teacher, Wu Zhongkong provided them with plenty of guidance. Their curriculum required that they study different theories from those of regular classes and become more inclined toward combat training. And just as President Yushin promised, the academy poured a tremendous amount of resources into the class. Regardless of whether it were the teaching methods, nourishing food, teachers, or facilities, all were provided and of the highest quality. 10 days later, Tang Wulin was no longer the only one being beaten up by Wu Zhangkong's pointing stick. Xie Xie, Zhong Yangzi, and Wang Jinci had all recovered and could now join Tang Wulin in being beaten up for combat training. Ever since their recovery, inhuman cries of pain would constantly ring out from Class 0. They had rejoiced in Tang Wulin's misfortune when they were still bystanders that were watching him being beaten up, but after experiencing the painful strikes of the pointing stick for themselves, they had gained a thorough understanding of what pain truly was. Wang Jinci fared a bit better than the others as his Bone Dragon King made his body much stronger. But for Zhong Yangzi and Xie Xie, they were definitely suffering. Zhong Yangzi was an agility control system soul master and Xie Xie was a pure agility system soul master, so both of their bodies were suited for nimbleness and couldn't compare in toughness with Tang Wulin or Wang Jinci. From the very beginning, Wu Zhongkong didn't even know the concept of starting off leniently. Instead, each strike of his pointing stick would create a pain that penetrated all the way to their bone marrow. Yet, despite this unfathomable pain they were subjected to, they didn't suffer any real injuries. In Wu Zhangkong's words, only pain can deepen your learning. The only one who was fortunate enough to be spared was Ji Yu. Perhaps it was because she was a girl, but Wu Zhongkong reined in a bit of his harshness when he taught her. Even when the occasional pointer struck, it only made her feel a bit numb. Today we will be running a few tests on your body, so combat training will be suspended. Wu Zhongkong announced this piece of good news the moment he entered the classroom. They all harbored a fear of combat training now. That bone-piercing pain was simply too much. Tang Wulin was the only one who felt some disappointment, too. Having absorbed a portion of the Golden Dragon King's soul, he had discovered over the past 10 days of combat training that his body's strength had risen to another level. Apart from his right arm, any place Wu Zhangkong's pointer struck would experience extreme pain, but he would recover from it extremely fast without even leaving a bruise. Moreover, he felt that his soul power cultivation rate increased after receiving a good beating. After those 10 days of training, he sensed as though his body was on the verge of breaking through once more. It seemed that the fragment of the Golden Dragon King's soul hadn't been completely absorbed by him yet. The more he cultivated, the more completely he absorbed the soul. He was also growing more and more skilled at controlling his bloodline power. Apart from the Golden Dragon Claw, which he couldn't use too often due to the excessive amount of soul power it consumed, he could use the Golden Scales as he wished due to its minimal costs. Thus, his right arm had turned into his strongest weapon. Wu Zhongkong brought them to a room that was filled with a scientific feeling. The interior of the room was covered in a layer of a silver metal which made them feel as if they had entered a silver world the moment they stepped inside. Table after table of strange apparatuses were arranged within this room. We'll start with the spiritual power test. Xie Xie, you're first. Wu Zhongkong was holding onto a form, ready to record Xie Xie's results. Xie Xie's spiritual power growth was quite normal. Compared to last time, his spiritual power had increased by 2. After Xie Xie was Wang Jinci. His spiritual power was quite low, a mere 18 points. Wang Jinci, you must spare no effort in improving your spiritual power, otherwise you won't be able to fuse with any more spirit souls in the future, Wu Zhongkong dully advised him. Wang Jinci was normally very quiet. Just like usual, he merely nodded after hearing Wu Zhangkong's words. Zhong Yangzi's turn was next. Spiritual power of 41. Not bad. If you do your best you might be able to break through from the spirit origin realm within a year. Tang Wulin was the second last to go. Zhong Yangzi's gaze was fixed on him. Among his 3 ex-opponents, he bore the greatest grudge against Tang Wulin for breaking his legs. He couldn't help but feel the need to compare himself against Tang Wulin now. In the past few days he had interacted with Tang Wulin. He discovered that Tang Wulin's main power came from his body that was gifted with strength and that peculiar right arm of his. As for his martial soul, it was merely blue-silver grass. It wasn't even worth mentioning to Zhong Yangzi. The more he found out about Tang Wulin, the more he felt that his loss that day was unjustified. Since he's an expert at assault like Wang Jinci, just how high could his spiritual power be? It can't possibly be that high. Tang Wulin walked over to the apparatus and sat down. The spiritual power testing machine slowly descended, enveloping his head. The test was beginning. This spiritual power testing machine was the most advanced one the Academy had. It displayed the spiritual power on a graduated scale with different colors. Thus, one could differentiate the spiritual power level based on the color shown. Spirit origin was white. The number representing Tang Wulin's spiritual power kept on rising, and soon, it surpassed Wang Jin's 18 points. It steadily increased. 20 points. 25 points. 30 points. Zhong Yangzi stared at the scale in astonishment. No way. He's just an assault system soul master with 1 ring's worth of cultivation. How can he have more than 30 points of spiritual power? Even Jinzi pales in comparison to him. 40. 43, he had now surpassed Zhong Yangzi, and yet, the number was still increasing. Xie proudly said to Zhong Yangzi, "You see that? Wulin's spiritual power is so great." Zhong Yangzi had an unsightly expression as he snorted. "I refuse to acknowledge him." 50. The quiet Wang Jinzi suddenly shouted. That was right, Tang Wulin's spiritual power surpassed 50. This meant that his spiritual power had progressed from the spirit origin realm to the spirit connection realm. Sure enough, the scale turned from white to yellow. Spirit origin. Everything started from the origin and would grow from there. The moment one was born, they would be in the spirit origin realm with the most basic of spiritual powers. Spiritual power in the spirit origin realm was enough to bear yellow spirit soul. The spirit connection realm was when the heart could connect with the spirit, conveying simple thoughts. Once one attained spirit connection, one would be able to truly control one's spiritual power and have it move to one's needs, as well as being able to support 2 yellow spirit souls or 1 purple spirit soul. There didn't seem to be much of a difference between spirit origin and spirit connection, but it was truly a qualitative leap. It was only natural for Wang Jinzi to be shocked. After all, reaching the spirit connection realm meant that Tang Wulin could already fuse with a purple spirit soul. Dumbstruck, Zhong Yangzi stared at Tang Wulin with his mouth gaping. This guy's martial soul is nothing, but his spiritual power is so amazing. He had never heard of someone who could break through to the next realm while still in the first grade of intermediate academy before. Anyone who could break through to the next realm in the intermediate division would already be considered talented. It had to be said that the greatest obstacle for graduating from the advanced division was attaining spirit connection. This one requirement had already stopped countless soul masters from graduating. Yet, Tang Wulin had already broken through while still being in the first grade. This was simply unfathomable. 66. Tang Wulin's spiritual power reading finally stopped at 66 points. Xie had been bragging for him just now, but he was still stupefied after seeing this number. It has only been a few days, yet this guy's spiritual power has already grown this much. His spiritual power growth rate is almost like a cheat. 66. Tang Wulin was also startled when he saw the results. Although he had felt that his spiritual power had increased after absorbing the Golden Dragon King's soul, he had never expected to directly enter the spirit connection realm. This was simply too amazing for him. Strong spiritual power would be extremely beneficial for him when he fused with another spirit soul in the future, as well as when controlling his martial soul and soul skills. I think Tang Wulin might be going down a dark path. No. Don't embark on this path, Wulin. This video will end here.